What's going on, Nasty Nation? It's Nasty, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over 10 things that you should probably know before playing Valorant. This is a game that I recently got into, and it's also a game that I had no idea really what to expect going into it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are probably in the same boat as I was. This game is already taking over the gaming world, and it's going to only continue to get more and more popular. So a lot of you guys who have probably never played a game like this are going to give it a try. And I just wanted to kind of make this video to kind of introduce a lot of these things that you're probably not going to expect going into this game, because again, I was in a very similar situation when I had no idea what to expect going into this game. If you were lucky enough to get a code and you've been playing Valorant for a week or so by now and you already have a good understanding of the game, then this video may not be the one for you. This video is going to be targeted towards the people who maybe haven't played the game yet, or maybe have kind of tested around or played the game a little bit, but don't have a good grasp on the game quite yet. Anyways, with all that being said, I hope you guys do go on to enjoy this video. If you do, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. That'll do it for this introduction though, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So to get this video started off, I want to talk about what I think is probably one of the most important things that you need to know before you get your hands on Valorant, and that is that your abilities are not going to be used the way that you would think they would be used in games like Overwatch or League of Legends. Abilities are kind of the main aspect of the game, and then there's a bunch of other things that revolve around your abilities, but in Valorant, the main aspect of the game is going to be the gunplay, and the abilities are kind of used on top of that. The creators of this game use abilities in this game as kind of a way of having utility. Your abilities more times than not will set you up to make plays, but they won't make the plays for you. So with all that being said, don't expect to get too fancy with your abilities. Don't expect to just win rounds or win games just by using your abilities. These abilities aren't something that can be layered or comboed. They're something that'll just basically help you get a little bit closer to catching yourself a kill or netting yourself a kill, but they won't get the kill for you. Then again, there are some agents in this game that have kind of like an assassin playstyle to them, and these agents can kill you a little bit easier using their abilities, but again, at the core, abilities are more or less used for utility, and the gunplay is going to be the main aspect and the main core of the game. Another thing that you're going to want to heads up on when it comes to getting your hands on Valorant is that this isn't the type of game where you could take a lot of damage and still move. It really doesn't take a lot of damage to put you down in this game or put somebody else down in this game. So not only expect to die a lot, but also expect to have to play a little bit safer than you're probably expecting to play. Now, I know I might trigger some people here by talking or mentioning Fortnite, but since Fortnite was one of the more recent popular shooting games that we've all been introduced to, in that game, it's completely different. You can run around while shooting. You can have these really mobile fights while you're jumping around, shooting people, trading back and forth, taking potions and healing up. But in this game, it's nothing like that. It only takes a few bullets. Sometimes just one to the head will put you down, or sometimes with a really strong gun, one bullet even to the chest could put you down. I guess you could say this game is a lot more realistic in this sense when I say that it doesn't take a whole lot of bullets to put you down. So when getting into this game, just keep that in mind and don't go for plays that are overly aggressive, because you're going to die really easily and you're going to have to learn really early on. The next thing that I want to talk about is going to be the guns and the spray patterns that they have. So I've played a little bit of CSGO in my lifetime, but not a whole lot, but I've played just enough to know what spray patterns are already. I'm assuming a large majority of you guys don't know what spray patterns are. So basically, spray patterns are the recoil that you're going to see whenever firing a gun, and basically the longer you shoot a gun, the more inaccurate the gun is going to be when it comes to who you're aiming or where you're aiming. So maybe in some other shooting game that you've played, you might have experienced some kind of recoil, but it's not going to be anything like the recoil in the spray patterns that you're going to see in this game. Every single gun is very unique and sprays differently, so it does actually take quite a bit of time to put the effort into learning different spray patterns and learning how different guns are going to work. Personally, I would just recommend going into the shooting range or the practice range and just trying to figure out which guns work best for you, which spray patterns you like best, and just kind of stick to those in the game. There's going to be a lot of options when you get into the game as far as which guns you buy, but personally I think it's best to just stick to whatever you know is best and whatever you feel the most comfortable on, and the guns that you have already kind of figured out how they work. And to continue on the topic of abilities in this game, I also just want to quickly talk about how you actually get your abilities. So unlike other games like League of Legends, where every single time you get into a game, you can instantly level up one ability and you continue to use your abilities throughout the entire game, in Valorant, you're only ever going to start a game with a point in your third ability, and the rest of your abilities you won't actually get access to unless you're able to purchase them. On top of that, every single time that you use an ability, you're going to then have to purchase it again in order to have access to it. So throughout the game, you'll find yourself having this struggle of having to know when to use your abilities, because if you do use them, then you're going to have to purchase them back, or knowing when you could purchase abilities or why you should purchase abilities. And overall, these abilities aren't something that you're just going to have the entire game, and they're something that you do have to continually keep in mind as far as when and why you should be using them. So let me further continue on this subject. The next thing that I want to talk about is what happens to your guns and your abilities after every single round. So Valorant takes place over the course of 25 rounds. It's going to be the first team to get 13 wins, flip-flopping sides after 12 rounds. And after every single round, what's going to happen is if you died in that round, you're going to lose your gun. And if you didn't die in the previous round, then you're going to be able to keep your gun. Abilities, on the other hand, you will be able to carry those over, no matter if you died or if you were able to survive in the previous round. The one exception here is going to be after the 12th round when you switch sides. After the 12th round, you're going to lose everything that you have, even if you were able to win the round or survive the round or anything like that. So just keep that in mind and try to play around that with that in mind. The next thing that you should know before you play Valorant is that this is not a super mobile game. In fact, when you're trying to shoot and move or walk or jump at the same time, your bullets become really inaccurate. Again, this could be a little frustrating, I suppose, but at the same time, it's as realistic as possible, so moving around is actually going to hurt you more than help you in this game. Again, I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably played other kinds of shooting games in the past where you're actually supposed to rely on being mobile and hard to hit. That's just not the case in this game. More times than not, you're going to have to either pop a squat, crouch, or just stand still, and that's going to give you the best chance to aim at somebody's head and get a kill before they kill you. The next thing that I want to talk about is going to be the money system in this game. So before every single round, you're going to have the option to buy guns, abilities, and stuff like that. And even though you're going to be tempted to buy something just about every single round to make yourself a little bit stronger, that's not always going to be the best case scenario. In Valorant, you actually have to have this mindset that it's going to be okay to lose certain rounds. Sometimes what you're going to do is you're just going to have what is called a save round, which basically means that you're not going to spend any money and you're almost sacrificing the round. Of course, you're still going to try to win the round, but you're just not going to put yourself in the best situation to win it because you're going to be saving up your money and not really having the best weapons to fight that round. But what you're essentially doing is allowing yourself to become stronger in the next round following that, rather than being mediocre or not super strong one round and then having to be in the same situation the following round. A good rule of thumb to follow is after the very first round and after the 13th round, which is the first round after switching sides, if you lose those rounds, you're probably going to want to save the round after because the opposing side is going to have that extra cash from winning the round and you're not going to have a whole lot to work with. So again, just remember that when you are playing Valorant, you don't always have to spend money to become stronger in the game. Sometimes it is okay to just play around a little bit weaker, try to win, but of course just save that money so that you can make a comeback in the following rounds. On a similar note, you're going to find yourself in situations where you actually just don't want to make any attempt to win a round. Of course, the example that I was just talking about includes not spending your money but still trying to win the round. But what I want to talk about now is in which situations you should actually just completely forfeit a round and not try to win it at all. Going back to what I was saying earlier about how when you die the next round, you're not going to have the weapons that you have. With that in mind, sometimes it's just going to be better to not risk dying at all, even if that means you're going to lose the round, because you're not going to have to spend that extra money to purchase the abilities or guns or whatever it is that you're trying to get. Now, I'm not trying to say that certain rounds you should just give up because you're scared of losing your weapons, but what I'm talking about here is the situations in which maybe you find yourself in a 1v5 situation, or you just find yourself in a situation where you think it's nearly impossible to win the round. Even though trying to win that round could result in some pretty cool looking plays, more times than not, you're just going to run in and die and you're going to lose all your weapons and everything that you've worked towards. So instead, in situations like that, just keep in mind that it is okay to lose a round here and there, and it's better to just save your money. The next thing that you should know before playing Valorant is that memorizing the maps is going to be extremely important when it comes to playing this game. When I first started playing this game, I was really bad, and I'm still pretty bad considering I've never played a shooting game ever before in my life. But once I was able to familiarize myself with the maps, playing this game became 10 times easier. When you first start playing this game, you're going to be getting killed from places you didn't even know existed, and there's going to be certain angles that you just simply won't check just because you don't even know that you're supposed to check those angles. But this is a problem that goes away the more that you play the game over time. But even with that being said, when you do finally get your hands on Valorant, or if you're already playing the game and you're struggling right now trying to learn how you can improve, just prioritize learning the maps when you're in games. I know sometimes it can be really difficult. You could find yourself playing on autopilot and just kind of running at people trying to get kills and not actually focusing on all the other aspects that are included in the game. So if you are struggling in this area, or you think you'll struggle in this area, try to spend some time when you are in these games trying to figure out the maps, trying to remember the patterns and the layouts, and trying to remember the callouts. And finally, speaking of callouts, the very last thing that I want to talk about here is how communication in this game is absolutely crucial. So League of Legends is my main game. I've been playing that game for like 8 years now, and I've been super frustrated that they have never implemented a voice communication system in that game for your teams. But luckily enough, they didn't make the same mistake in Valorant, and it's for a very good reason. Communication is everything in this game, because callouts, telling your teammates where the enemy players are, is going to make everything 10 times easier. So that kind of goes hand in hand with learning the maps, learning the callouts, learning to effectively communicate with your team and let them know where the enemies are. That's going to make this game a hell of a lot more enjoyable and a hell of a lot easier to play. So again, just keep in mind that communication in this game is going to be really important. Well, alright then, ladies and gentlemen, that should just about wrap up this video. This is actually the very first time I've made a video on my channel that didn't have to do with League of Legends, so I don't know, it's kind of a stretch. I don't know what the feedback is going to be like, if people are going to like it or not like it, so it would definitely mean a lot to me if you guys could let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Again, be sure to leave a like on the video if you did go on to enjoy it or find it helpful, and finally, just make sure that you do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Again, that should just about do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of this one. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.